I can see attendees have started joining us. Thank you so much, all the attendees, for taking out time from your busy schedule and joining us today. We'll just start in next 4 minutes. Can I request my team to start with the video, please?
The last 2 decades, we experienced the rise of Chinese photovoltaic companies and the transformation of LONGI from a pathfinder and an inventor of technology to an industry leader. LONGI was established in 2000 and changed the game rules of the industry by promoting monocrystalline modules in 2015. In 2016, LONGI's mono-PERC technology brought the industry into an era of high efficiency and low LID. In 2017, LONGI's bifacial PERC technology increases remarkable module power output with rare side irradiation. In 2019, M6 silicon wafers led the PV industry to an era of 450-watt ultra-high power. With strong innovations, LONGI has made numerous achievements like 24.06% efficiency of monocrystalline PERC cell, the highest production of bifacial monocrystalline modules in the world, continuous technology advances and LCOE optimization. Now, LONGI is about to set off another advancement in the industry once again. The latest LONGI high Mo5 modules with optimized LCOE, especially designed for large-scale PV stations, are now available. The power output of high Mo5 is up to 540 watts, with over 21% efficiency. The optimal size of the high Mo5 module, coupled with sophisticated construction, can reduce costs while increasing power generation. As seen in the PV station in Zhoushan, China, high Mo5 can significantly lower labor, land, and BOS costs and reduce LCOE. Also, the application of high Mo5 in Qatar has proved to be a remarkable improvement in cost reduction. The advanced technology of the high Mo5 leads to optimal LCOE, which is the result of LONGI's exploration of every detail of functionality. New M10 gallium-doped silicon wafer can reduce the linear power degradation to 0.45% per year. Compared with the traditional welding technology, LONGI's smart soldering technology reduces the tensile strength of the cell by 20%, by reducing the distance between cells by 2/3. This technology achieved a 0.3% improvement in module efficiency. High Mo5 follows a mature and reliable design path, framed, tempered glass on both sides, to ensure the load capacity of the modules, with no crossbeam on the back to the module that blocks reflected light to ensure continuous and efficient power output. In practical applications, the size of HIMO 5 is suitable for the main 1-portrait and 2-portrait horizontal single-axis tracking system. At the same time, it is perfectly compatible with the next generation inverters. The working current, including 15% bifacial gain, is kept within 15 amps, without the loss of current generation. Standardization, perfect adaptation, cost optimization, and high efficiency leads to optimized LCOE that enables HIMO 5 to be one of the most valuable products on the market. The high volume production of HIMO 5 is ready. By first quarter of 2021, global supply is expected to reach 13.5 gigawatts. The new HIMO 5 joins the LONGI HIMO family, bringing in a new PV era with ultra-high value.
Thank you for the video. Hello and very good afternoon to all of you. This is Sangeeta here, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Solar Carter and First View Group to our virtual event on Digital Roundtable of Solar Project Leaders of UAE, Lessons from the Top. This digital roundtable is organized to bring industry leaders and experts from solar, utility, and rooftop sector to debate and highlight opportunities, pressing issues, and challenges. This roundtable will discuss the changing policy, price, evolving module technologies, procurement, and project development dynamics in this sector. I would like to thank our exclusive partner, LONGI Solar, for joining us today. Let's begin with our techno-commercial presentation by Ms. Claire Zhang, who is the Director of Business Development, Middle East from LONGI. Over to you, Ms. Claire.
Thank you so much. Just let me share the screen first. Am I sharing the screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen. If you could please make it full screen.
Yes. I'm sharing the screen now, right?
The screen is visible. Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, hello everyone. It's my great pleasure to be here today and to give you a brief introduction of LONGI Solar. LONGI Solar, we are a world-leading solar technology company, and it's the largest PV module manufacturer in the world. So we founded in the year of 2000. LONGI now we have more than 60,000 employees, and with 30 branches and 15 manufacturing bases around the world. So we produces the monocrystalline silicon wafers, cells, and modules. We deliver the solutions for distributed and ground mount power station systems. So now with the total assets of over $14 billion, R&D investment so far, it's about $400 million. So as I mentioned, we started in the year of 2000, manufacturing the silicon ingot Then in the year of 2012, we listed in Shanghai Stock Exchange. So we became the world's #1 in the production of monocrystalline silicon wafer in the year of 2014. So 1 year later, we became the world's #1 in the shipment of monocrystalline module. So last year in 2020, we set a brand new industry standard for the M10 silicon wafer. And we're also selected as the only PV sponsor for the China Pavilion at Dubai Expo. And we will be participating the Dubai Expo also. So on November 25th is actually the LONGI Day. And we hope all of the audience today will join us there on the November 25th. So also we officially joined the climate group, RE100, EV100, EP100 initiative to achieve the carbon neutrality. So early this year, we established the hydrogen BU as well. So our company is headquartered in Xi'an, and last year, LONGI's annual production capacity was 85 gigawatt for the wafers, and 58 gigawatt we did for the wafer shipment. So the module production capacity last year was 50 gigawatt here, you can see. And then the shipment was actually over 24 gigawatt, ranked #1 among all PV solar companies. So the global market share of LONGI module in 2020 was 19%. And this year, we plan to increase the capacity for wafers of 105 gigawatt and the modules 65 gigawatt. So currently we are having over 5,000 global customers and covering over 85 countries. So when we are speaking of LONGI, we are very proud of ourselves with the most reliable financial health. So as you can see from here, that in the Bloomberg NEF, the Global PV Market Outlook report, LONGI has been awarded as the highest ultimate Z-score. So in its Tier 1 standard PV module manufacturer list, LONGI ranked Tier 1 for 5 years. And in the Bloomberg NEF, they rated us 100% bankable in the survey of PV module and inverter bankability. So in the PV module tech bankability ratings, LONGI is ranked as the only AAA rated manufacturer. Here, you can see from the screen. So our innovation sets the benchmark for the entire industry in the diamond wire cutting technology, bifacial technology, mono technology, and so on and so forth. And regarding the stability and also the reliability in terms of the efficiency records and awards. Actually, in May, we just beat our own record of efficiency, which now stands at 25.09% for the N-type TOPCon. So from the third-party evaluation of the product quality and performance, we have here the truth relevant or quality matters. And we have here we are the only RETC high achiever among all the other manufacturers. And we are also the top performer in the PVEL's PV module reliability scorecard 4 times. So in the energy yield test conducted by the PV magazine, our modules ranked #1 in the outdoor category. So besides, we have this report in the PVEL bifacial module outdoor test. Also, power generation gain of LONGI bifacial modules. So it's obvious, as you can see from the table here, is the top among the other solar PV manufacturers. So we mature module design logic with high optical utilization, reasonable electrical design, high packaging density, etc., etc. So to solve the PERC LID problem and to remove the application barriers. So as I mentioned earlier, that in 2020, about $4 million has been invested in R&D, which accounted for about 5% of our sales revenue. So at LONGI, we provide professional and digital solutions for our clients. And LONGI's product portfolio, as you can see from here, is covering the residential, C&I, and utility scale projects. So with HEMO 4, we have 66 cells, and 72 cells. So for HEMO 5, we have the 72 cells up to 540 watt. So these are some of our utility scale clients and partners. This is the HEMO 5 series. And as you can see, the technology integration, we have the M10 wafer and PERC cell technology, half-cut 72 cells format, which is going to provide you for the first year degradation less than 2% and the bifacial module linear degradation less than 0.45%. So in general, the HEMO 5 that is focusing on the utility scale project is going to save BOS cost of over 0.1 cent per watt. So to summarize, LONGI is a leading solar technology company and who's willing to invest in R&D. And we're always pursuing the sustainable development of the whole society. Thank you so much for this introduction. And now I will give the floor to the moderator, please.
Thank you so much, Ms. Claire, for the valuable insights. And now it's time to start with our most awaited roundtable discussion, along with our rooftop solar leaders of Middle East. Session experts who have joined us today are Mr. Ivano Linale, who is an executive director from Green Economic Foundation, Engineer Mohammed Altani, who is the Secretary General and Vice Chairman from Arab Renewable Energy Commission, Mr. L.K. Verma, who is the founder and managing director from Power and Sun, Mr. Ayhan Maklalati, who is the director of On-Grid from Siraj Power, Mr. Karim McHarvey, who is an executive director from EPDA. He would also be moderating today's session, and Mr. Ahmed Al-Kushaf, who is a regional sales manager Middle East from LONGI Solar. I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Karim to take the discussions forward with other speakers. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. So can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes,
so,
now we can hear you.
Okay. So thank you very much, Sangeeta. So I'm very glad to be the moderator today in today's session and among these distinguished speakers. And good afternoon, good morning to everyone. So let's. I'll make a brief introduction, and if that's okay, maybe one by one you can introduce yourself after, but and speak at the same time. Okay, so let's make a brief introduction, and then we can start. So I'd like to just give a short background of what's happening, because all of us, actually most of us, we already met a few months ago, I think, for a similar sessions. And we discussed the market in the UAE. So it would be interesting to see what happened, between the two sessions, and also see what has changed since last time. And I would start with probably one of important news, which is the publication of the International Energy Agency report, the path to go to 1.5 degrees. And as you know, regarding the different the scenarios, we can see that from now on, 90% of all the power plants that should be connected in the world should be renewable energy until 2050. That's number one. And number two is that basically we should stop exploration in the fossil fuel, stop new projects in gas, in oil. So obviously it is a big change because the IEA, it's not, it was well known so far to, I would say, be very prudent regarding the development of renewable energy. And it's a big change. We all know that since a long time that actually our carbon budget is very limited. And we know that it's very maybe tricky to continue to develop new oil and gas projects. But now it's even the IEA which is saying that. So I'd like to see all of you to see if this, you can see that this has an impact in terms of regulation in the market. How do you see that? Do you see governments moving in one direction or another? Obviously, this publication is new, but you know it's been around for some time, and see how you see it will change your business. So that's the background. And now let me start. Maybe I will start, the way in the order I see the people on my screen. Okay. So Verma, hi. So maybe if you can, briefly introduce yourself, and maybe just, speak freely about this this kind of, context.
Thanks, Kareem, and thanks Solar Quarter and Sangeeta for organizing this. I'm LK Verma. I am from a company called Power and Sun. We are a design and distribution company. We are a wholesale distribution company, value added, who works towards the speed of solarization and adding value in by reducing the total turnaround time of a solar projects. So that's a very small and brief introduction. When I say wholesale, we do close to around 150 or 120 megawatt per year in terms of PV modules, and 200 megawatts of actually inverters and a couple of kilometers of cables. I would like to bring a perspective to this entire discussion from the point of view of making the operations efficient and what operational efficiency is going to contribute in overall delivery of the project. So as we unfold the discussions, I think we can discuss it further on it. We talk most of the sessions on technology, on pricing, on size of a business coming up. But as an industry, if the operational efficiencies are not under control, if the project which is supposed to be delivered in time is not getting delivered in time, I think what all efforts we make, it doesn't fruit to its optimum level. So that's my brief note, and giving it back to Kareem for others to introduce themselves.
Okay, thanks, Vermat. So next is Hamad.
Yes, hello Kareem, and hello everyone. Nice to meet you again. And again, thank you to Solar Quarter for this event. My name is Ahmed Khuffash. I work with LONGI Solar as a regional sales manager for the Middle East region. I believe that Claire, my colleague Claire, has already gave a introduction about the company and what we have done recently in terms of expansion in the capacities, and also what we have achieved during the last couple of years. As everyone knows, that LONGI is now expanding rapidly in worldwide, and especially in the region, with our strong partners that we have in UAE and also in the other countries in the region. And always we are proud to mention Mr. Verma and Power and Sun as our strategic partner in UAE. So this is a brief about myself. And I'm okay for any questions from the audience or from your good self. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmad. So, Ivano, hi.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here as always. I'm currently heading a knowledge repository specific on green economy. I'm a behavioral and environmental economist by background, and I've been managing the greenhouse gas inventories in my former role for the past 10 years. And now looking at bringing digital into the sustainability roadmap. In terms of the question posed by Karim, I would say a lot has happened in the past couple of months, and especially on legislation, as the EU Green Deal has put a lot of industries on their tiptoes, waiting for the legislation to kick in terms of carbon border adjustment mechanism. So all of a sudden, companies across the Middle East need to ramp up their green credentials. And guess what's the easiest way to do that? You guys, you need to supply them with more panels, more solar energy. And like the first session said, let's make sure it's the focus is on bankability. And as I said last time, away from price wars, so that we can see more market penetration. Thank you, Karim.
Thank you, Ivano. Ahmad, you're okay to deliver the solar panels? You ready?
Yes, absolutely. We are always,
okay,
we are always willing to, to provide the solar panels.
Excellent. Ahmad, so your turn. Tell us more about you and brief introduction. Ayman? Ayam?
Hi, yes, thank you, Karim. Thank you, Solar Recorder, for having me on here. It's a pleasure. My name is Ayham Khalalati. I'm the head of on-grid business at Siraj Power. I've been in the solar industry for about 15 years here in the Middle East. So thank you all for joining. To answer Karim's question, I think globally, we're seeing a decarbonization strategy amongst kind of the various countries, and especially in the Middle East, we see kind of a high carbon footprint. And you see governments kind of responding to this initiative through different policies and regulatory frameworks that are being introduced. So you kind of see a domino effect from one country to the next of introducing these policies that further increase the adoption of renewable technologies, and kind of I'm proud to be a part of this ongoing journey, and I believe in it, and I think it's going to continue to flourish. So I'm looking forward to the panel discussion.
It's true that Siraj is very successful. I mean, we're hearing a lot of projects that you're delivering in the UAE. It's really great. Mohammed, so I forgot, where are you based now? And hi, and if you can introduce yourself.
Thank you again. My name is Mohammed Ta'ani. I am the Secretary General of the Arab Renewable Energy Commission. I'm based in Jordan. This commission headquartered in Jordan, and our chairman, the Minister of Energy in Morocco, His Excellency Engineer Aziz Rabah. I think I am just in this sector more than 35 years. I am more than happy about what you are doing for the progress of photovoltaic in the Middle East. I think within 7 days from now, we have the Arab Renewable Energy Dialogue to have a clean picture about the progress of renewable energy in most Arab countries. Just I want to speak about Jordan. Jordan, just in the last year, more than 13,000 householder have their own rooftop using photovoltaic. We have a good mechanism to encourage people here in Jordan. I think the main challenge in the other country is not the legislation, but also we have many Arab country oil and gas producer, and the electricity comparing is still we want to work more, but most or all Arab country are on Paris Agreement for gas emission and climate change and for carbonation, zero net carbon, and this encourage all Arab country to focus more for renewable energy, especially the solar energy. What is promising that we start, I think 30 years from now, it's 10 times the cost. And it's now encourage many people. And the most important issue here in Jordan, because there is a difference when you have a small PV system. This will give you a difference, and you can have it's bankable and payback period maximum within 2 years. Just this I want to brief you. Later we can add more.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for this introduction. So Ayam, this is how I pronounce your name, right?
Yeah, it's Aham.
Aham, okay. So I mean, how do you see? So we want something fresh, right? We want something new compared to what happened in the past. Compared to the last session a few months ago. So tell us how you see the market going, and what are the perspectives? Obviously, we see you being very successful and signing PPs and so on. But tell us more about the future of the market and how you see yourself. And yeah.
Absolutely. So from kind of a distributed solar market, I think the market is kind of just at its start. I think there's going to be a huge uptake in this market, particularly one because it sometimes takes kind of a paradigm shift for a lot of people to adopt and embrace this change, and that's kind of happening. You see kind of commercial industrial clients looking at their neighbors and saying, oh, they have solar, so I can trust that technology. So there's a little bit of that, but there's also, of course, strong government policies coming in, not just only in the UAE and Dubai, but also spreading across to neighboring countries in the Middle East. Of course, Jordan has had this adoption for a long time. I think Siraj Power, as kind of the leading provider of finance solar solutions, we see that there's also a huge uptake in commercial industrial customers going with the route of embracing the leasing of solar solutions rather than the capex self-investment model. It's kind of a headache-free model that a lot of companies are starting to understand and really kind of embrace. And I think the pandemic in itself has actually made this, in our eyes at Siraj Power, a lot more of a popular choice, because it's kind of one of the easy ways to also reduce your bottom line, directly by the introduction of solar. Plus, you kind of get all the additional benefits around, CSR policies and the carbon emission reduction.
But do you save? I mean, the PPA prices that I don't know if it's public or but if you can give us some kind of range, and is there any saving compared to going to the grid?
Of course, substantial savings. I mean, we honestly, the market a couple of years ago didn't have a huge uptake because we weren't at the savings, but now, we could see up to 50% savings in Dubai, and of course that depends on, and I'm talking savings from the tariff, of course. It of course depends on how much solar you can fit on, what is the application, is it a rooftop, a car park? There's a few technical parameters here and there that would affect that, but over the course of the lifetime of the system, it's going to be in millions in savings. So you see this like as a direct effect, and clients kind of really embracing this.
And what's the percentage that usually you can it corresponds to the total electricity consumption? What can you reach?
So depending on kind of the regulatory framework in place, different countries have different regulatory frameworks. But in Dubai, we're allowed to. There's an overall cap to how much you can install in terms of peak power. But let's say that you can install that cap. You're allowed to offset 100% of your consumption. We have clients that actually almost offset 100% of their consumption through solar. And then some other clients which offset a substantial portion. So, you're seeing a huge shift to like the distributed model in the region.
Okay, great. And Hamad, this is what you see also as a module supplier. I mean, can you tell us more about how you are involved actually in these projects? Are you there from the beginning, or the market is more like tendering the equipment suppliers? Do you participate in the original studies and what kind of clients you have and what kind of projects you see?
Yes, thank you, Karim. Currently, as Ayham has mentioned, that we can see like an uptake in the market, and the market is booming. Even though we have seen that from the module side, the prices of modules are fluctuating, and the prices of raw material is fluctuating as well after this pandemic. And so, but in the same time, we can see that there are some markets that are even started to move forward. And in addition, we have still see that UAE in specific still is one of the hottest market in the region. So what we usually do, or our clients, we usually go to the EPCs and also to the developers, or also the financing arms, such as, like, let's say, similar to Siraj Power, or even to distributors or EPCs. We work with all these sectors. We don't go usually to take the projects by ourselves, as we are only produce the modules or manufacture the modules. So we need this partnership, and we always go looking to enter tenders, or taking in-hand project with our partners. We do not go usually by ourselves. And that's what we usually do. And we can see that there are the demand started to raise again now, and there is a good demand from the UAE market and also the nearby markets. So we can see a potential. One more thing, Karim, when we have this discussion a few months ago, we were discussing how the market is going, and especially for the PPAs and the prices of modules. We have seen that a lot of projects from the PPAs has been already shifted or delayed due to the fluctuation in the market price. But now we are seeing that things are going back to normal, and things are moving more smoothly.
Okay, great. That's good news. Ivano, let me come back to something you said, which I think is very interesting, regarding the border, the tax, the CO2 tax and the carbon tax at the border of the UAE, and the decarbonation of the industry, basically. Because if we take an example as hydrogen, which could be used to produce ammoniac, but also steel, for example, there's no better place than the UAE, or let's say the MENA region, Australia and Chile, to produce hydrogen. And for sure, the production of ammonia and maybe steel, and that could be a big change in the industrial landscape somehow of the MENA region. and all this would be powered by, solar plus wind, basically. So do you see, and I saw some news actually going in this direction, but I'm not sure about really what's happening. I mean, how do you see that? Do you see that already, I would say, being discussed here in the MENA region, and I mean, I would say especially in the UAE?
Well, we know that this country is at the forefront of innovation. So as long as something achieves commercial grade investment, grade barrier, it's implemented straight away. So the ambition locally is to be one of the largest markets for green hydrogen. So obviously there is a lot of demand for renewables for the production of the hydrogen. But what is very relevant is that there is a very quick uptake of new business opportunities. And this is predominantly where I see the market shifting at the moment, simply because you do have pressure coming from both legislators and marketplace in terms of being more resilient to climate change laws. So all of a sudden, people have noticed that the Paris Agreement was signed 6 years ago. Not much has happened. So what's going on now? And we have on the private sector a strong push on ESG rating and scoring, which means companies need to demonstrate their compliance, not only in the environmental KPIs, but also in their social and governance KPIs. And many of these include not only renewables as such, but processes to safeguard resources, processes in place in terms of listening to the stakeholders that they serve, and management practices that are in line with best practices. The reason for this is very simple. There is a pragmatic shift. Europe obviously is making a lot of money from it. They have a 3 trillion euro green economy, which with the carbon border adjustment mechanism and the EU Green Deal is expected to scale up to 14 trillion. And this will impact a lot of the imports into the EU. So obviously for anyone dealing with the EU, the ability to reduce their carbon emission is now, does now have a price tag. The EU emission allowances have exceeded 50 euros a ton. So any technology, any process that is able to reduce CO2 emission of a product, of a service, becomes all of the sudden investment grade.
Thanks. And so, Jean-Marc, tell us, about your vision of the market. So first of all, do you see that? Do you see, for example, industrials going more, being more and more interested in solar, because basically they would have, low carbon electricity coming, supplying their processes, or it's not yet there?
Absolutely, Al-Karim, and specifically to solar, green hydrogen, pink hydrogen, and nuclear, there is a very rapid scale up. And I'm saying this because, again, as it was said earlier, for example, in Dubai, there is a cap on the amount of solar you can put within each plot, which is roughly 2 megawatts per plot, which is meaningless for an industrial application. However, the ability to purchase from Mohammed bin Rashid Solar Park or large-scale utility solar like in Abu Dhabi is also recognizable through the use of IREX, the International Renewable Energy Certificates, which are used to share, to sell the rights of renewable power to the industries that either do it because of their vision and mission or corporate values, or need it in compliance to international regimes. Whichever the case, I can tell you that the market last year, there was an oversupply. This year, there is an overdemand. So this shows exactly the pressure that private sector is putting on developers to come up with more projects and to utilities to feed more renewable energies to the grid.
Thanks. And Verma, this is what you see. Your business, you can't keep up with the growth of the business. You're obliged to hire 10 people a day to follow the market. And tell us more also about the profile also of your clients. Do you see that's happening? Industrials going in this direction? Not yet.
Let me put the numbers to all. Some assessment to all the discussions what we had. Mr. Am said that the market, there's uptake, it's growing. Mr. Ahmad also said the same thing. If I have to put the number to it, I'll say that last year to this year, we can straightway multiply by 2.5 to 3%. I mean, 3 times, sorry, not the percent. So that is the size which I see it in terms of a demand coming up from a rooftop, in this region. And I am able to put this number because it is not only from a PV module perspective. I'm talking it about, inverters, talking it about cable demand, structures, all the BOS requirement. So, and we, as a company, we capture the demand, in the market on a real-time basis. And we adjust this, on a weekly basis as well. And coming it up from all the sides, I can easily, safely, I can say it is just doubled. And the same thing must have been felt by most of my colleagues who are there, say present now. But I see a very different challenge which is coming up, and that challenge is that if this demand is not managed properly, then the speed which we are expecting the solarization to take place in the region, we will never be able to achieve. And here to support this, I would like to take one simple example, a 2 megawatt of a rooftop project. The time we start discussions and then we conclude, and then we start supplying the material, and it has been installed and commissioned and delivered it back. It is anywhere around 6 months to 9 months time. And this is a too long a time for technology, like many projects you have taken in consideration while quoting at 410 or 400, 380 or 390 modules, which are no more available. So within 6 months time, you will see that they have moved from 400, 450 to the level of 540, 535 and all. Secondly, the instability in terms of the pricing. So we need to have absorbent, or we need to have a mechanism by virtue of which that this type of turbulence is not fully exposed to the end user or to the developers or to the EPC company. There's some sort of absorption has to take place in between. If this absorption is not taking place, I really fear this turbulence should not hit the growth what we are looking at and what we are expecting. I don't know if you.
Sorry. Sorry. Okay, thank you very much. So, all that it's very, very interesting. What kind of projects do you see also? Do you see bigger projects, smaller projects, only the big? Because you see, I'm wondering the type of clients at the end of the day, because you do have a lot of industrials, and the UAE, for example, it's a logistic hub also. And so you do have, big industrials, big rooftop and so on. But do you have only that? I mean, I would have imagined that, after going into the, largest clients, then what's left in the market? So,
if we put it into the three category, residential, C&I, and utility scale. So utility, let us keep it aside. We talk about only the rooftop now for residential and C&I. Say a larger size of a market in UAE and in the nearby, the countries is actually from a C&I. And in the C&I sector, when we speak about anything from 250, 300 kilowatt to 3 megawatt, 4 megawatt, 5 megawatt, maybe 6 or 7 megawatt, one of those projects. These are the range, but the maximum number of projects in UAE, if you see 1 to 2 megawatt or 0.8 to 2 megawatt. This is the normal size which we see. And this is actually good for the industry because more number of projects, smaller size, you see the penetration speed will increase a lot, and that's the right thing to take place also.
Okay, thanks. And so Hayam, I mean, are you also, tell us more about the types of projects that you are involved, give us a concrete idea about the kind of projects you see, and also the project that you think you will see. And I'm coming back again to this industrial part and wondering if you're also involved in the, providing electricity for industrial processes. Do you see that coming also? Is there any kind of talks, in the UAE about this sector?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I mean, we've seen a pretty big uptake, as you were saying earlier in our industry. So we have a portfolio now of 100 megawatts just in Dubai, and that portfolio is growing day by day. So definitely the uptake is there. I think, yeah, the industry is always going to have its bumps. I mean, I've seen this module thing go up and down over the last decade and a half. And that's kind of just the blips in the industry. Things will stabilize over time. It's just the supply demand thing that will just kind of normalize itself over time. So, you're seeing kind of the technology evolution these days, whether it's kind of increase in the panels efficiencies, bringing down also the cost of the installation and the cost of kind of the balance of plant, which is components around that panel. You're seeing the efficiencies of or the sizes of the inverters grow, but their sizes get smaller as physically. So you can pack a lot more power and squeeze a lot more out of those systems at a cheaper cost. So everyone's kind of trying to go with the efficiency in kind of different directions. I see also that it really depends on the regulation, government legislation. For example, in Dubai, it used to be that it was uncapped. You can install as big of a solar system as you wanted, and that a cap has actually been introduced, a year and a half or 2 years ago, limiting to 2 megawatts. So we've seen some clients who, for example, have a steady load of 10 megawatts, and now we can only install a 2 megawatt system. So whether these kind of changes in the future will happen, we just always adapt to the market, and we believe that the market is just sizable and big enough to always kind of uptake. From a future technology point of view, I think you're going to start to see a lot of integration of the technologies around solar that are becoming cheaper. So solar plus storage, maybe solar plus EV charging stations around CNI, in logistics hub, as we're talking. Eventually we may have fleets of electric vehicles. So, I think there's going to be a meshing and a hybridization of all of these technologies around each other in the near future, particularly also if you see, the regulation change and electricity rates get unsubsidized, or perhaps, introduce different tiers or time of day for consumption metrics. You'll see the uptake of that in the market, and we, as Siraj Power, what we want to do is always try to find a solution to capitalize on financing these technologies, which are pretty straightforward to us, but may be kind of a burden on somebody else. You know, and we've actually been able to go to customers who have installed and paid for a solar system themselves, but have kind of not realized the benefit because it was just poorly operated and maintained or cleaned. And we have actually taken those solar systems, you know, and converted them into leases. So it's an interesting, you know, market to look at it from that angle.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so basically you bought their solar plant and transform it into lease. So you have that on your balance sheet now. That's what you're saying?
Yeah. So basically, it depends how many years it was running. You know, you could do a fair value analysis of it. You can basically switch the solar existing asset into a lease, provided, of course, that you know it has bankable components. You know, we do a thorough study. Demonstrate to the client, hey, look, you know, with just Siraj Power's O&M / maintenance capabilities, we're able to, you know, increase your production by this much. So it's a lot of, you know, the market, and as Varmo was saying, it's kind of the sales cycle is enormously long. You know, 6 months is, I think, on the very short end for us. We see it as a longer cycle than that, and technology does change and adapt, but you kind of have to keep adapting your offering as you go.
I think Mohammed left, right? I don't see him anymore.
Sir, he had a connectivity issue, so he couldn't reconnect back again.
Okay. And Hamad, in terms of technology, this is what you see. I mean, tell us more about what's going on in, I don't know, are you now only crystalline? I mean, I'm hearing about perovskite coming. I'm not sure if LONGI is already in perovskite, right? But you know what's the future that you see in the coming, at least in the coming years? Let's say short term, today and within the next 2-3 years, what the typical modules look like, and what would be the, I mean, you see, what would be the greatest improvement that we'll see in the market? I think he joined Mohammed now. So missing 2 now. We'll wait a few seconds. If he's not coming back, then I'll switch someone.
So you can proceed ahead with the next speaker.
Yes. So, well, Ivano, I have one question for you, which is what the interest of the UAE to electrify all that. Basically, I'm a state, I'm selling oil, you know, why would someone come and bring electrical vehicle, you know, that would reduce my you know, basically my revenue? So how can, as a state, I can benefit from that? How do you see that?
Well, this has been an ongoing debate for a very long time, but it's actually rather simple to answer. They extract the oil, which can be sold abroad. They don't need to create local consumption to maintain high GDP. So on the other hand, diversifying the economy makes it more resilient to the global economic outlook. So as an example, we've seen that there wasn't much demand for oil during the pandemic and the lockdowns. And at a certain point, the futures on crude were actually a negative amount. So obviously, a country as dynamic as the UAE always has a benefit in diversification, just to make sure that not only can weather the storms, but can also take advantage of very simple opportunities. Now the focus is, for example, on creating the hydrogen economy, which is foreseen as one of the main GDP growth pillars for the next decade. But this is going in parallel vis-a-vis with an industrial growth strategy as well. So I'm certain that their abilities to conceive legislation that will favor such a strategy, together with the fact that they do, as of today, allow 100% foreign ownership on land, will allow for more industries to consider the UAE as an energy provider for their services for the long term, focusing on clean energy as their supply fuel.
But if you see, for example, electrical vehicle, I was wondering because, obviously hydrogen, building a hydrogen economy could, make sense on the industrial part, for the industrial processes, for ammonia. But now if we are to mix, as Ayman said, you see this solar charger somehow, and you have the batteries, right? So it's more for batteries. Do you see then the hydrogen itself, because you have losses and so on? So it could make more sense to have electrical vehicles. Do you see the UAE willing to capture part of this this sector in terms of GDP? Where like an industrialization of that, or
definitely see very clear strategies in place to facilitate the hydrogen economy as such. In terms of the solar chargers, we need to understand also that size means a lot. And obviously solar is limited to a few hours and still did not achieve the size it needs to fill up the tank of my Tesla. If you consider that LONGI's panels at 550 watt are at the leading edge of commercial grade panels, taking consideration that to fill up the tank of a Tesla, I need between 75 and 100 megawatt hours. It's easy to see that that solar charger needs to be really, really large to be able to provide me with adequate power. And just to give you a size, those simple wall units that we see around town are usually providing between 20 and 50 kilowatts of power to charge the batteries, whereas the superchargers go all the way to 300 kilowatts. So obviously, solar alone is not sufficient. Hydrogen needs to step up the game to complement this demand.
Interesting thoughts. So Ahmed, welcome back. We thought that you joined Mohammed in Jordan actually, but it's good to see you among us still. So tell us, so you remember the question, right, regarding the technologies and so on. So tell us more about that.
I was trying to say that as Claire mentioned, that we have broke the record of 25% cell efficiency, which leads to have a much more efficient modules. And this, as Claire mentioned, was done on the N-type modules. And this is the next generation. And this is what we were expecting even since the beginning, that N-type modules are going to be the future, and it will be more commercially feasible. And that's what LONGI is putting now on table. And we say that by this year, we are launching the N-type modules. It will have higher efficiencies and higher power output. And if you have seen on all our platforms, we have posted what's next, and the next generation will be with the N-type modules. So this is our good news that also we would love to announce here through this platform that that we will have N-type modules by end of this year.
Sangeeta, what's the time?
So we have already crossed the time. Yeah. 5 minutes more.
It's difficult. We have a conclusion, but each of you make a conclusion. That's going to. I don't know if it makes sense, but just let's say the final words. So Berma, maybe quick one, like few minutes. Just few sentences, and then we close. Verma, can you a few words to finalize?
I think very good session. The only point which I would like to stress again is let's align ourselves to deliver much more, because the demand is going to go up in the coming time, and industry as a whole and all the stakeholders has to align more to deliver it faster and to solarize the region much faster than what we are actually doing it now. Thanks.
Ayam?
Yeah, I think I'm very optimistic about the region, particularly, well, not just utility scale, but the huge uptake in the commercial industrial sector, and eventually the residential sector too. So I think it's going to be, kind of tackling one thing at a time as the market opens up. We're seeing cost curves continuing to decline with a few bumps in place, but overall the trend is positive, both from technology, costing, and a regulatory side. So I'm very optimistic. Thank you for the time.
Thanks. Ahmad?
Yes, also the same thing that I'm also optimistic about what's going to happen in the market and the huge demand that we are currently seeing. We hope that this demand will continue for this year and the upcoming years as well, and also to have a growth in the demand. We are optimistic absolutely to work even with and to give this insights, and I am looking forward to have another roundtable maybe after a few months to check about the update that we are going to have by end of this year. Thank you.
Well, thanks. And Ivano?
Well, I think I said everything, but I wanted to provide some guidance in terms of markets. I think that the next phase of demand will come from companies which are owned or partially owned from investment funds. There is a strong ESG compliance in the investment industry, and this will require those companies to have at least a partial amount of renewables in their mix.
Thank you very much to everyone. It was very interesting. I'm very happy actually this discussion. I learned a lot from you guys. I hope that everyone also watching us learn also about the market in the UAE. And Sangeeta, this is yours.
Thank you so much, all the key panelists, for your valuable insights. In fact, we could have continued the discussions further if we didn't have a second panel speakers waiting for us. So now let's begin with our second roundtable discussion along with our utility solar leaders of Middle East. Session experts have joined us today are Mr. Antonio Diaz, who is the head of Projects Delivery Middle East from EDF Renewables Middle East. Mr. Felici Granizo, who is the CEO from Tech Solar UAE. Mr. Karim McHarby, who is an executive director from EPGA, who would also be moderating today's session. And Ms. Claire Hans, who is the Director of Business Development, Middle East from LONGI. I would like to hand over the session to Karim sir to take the discussions forward for this panel as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sangeeta. So I see Mohammed is not here again actually.
Sir, he is unable to connect back. He has got some connectivity, internet connectivity issue.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so well, thank you very much, and good afternoon or good morning to everyone. So I'm very glad to be among you. So it's my first time actually, seeing most of you here. So I'm very much interesting to know about what you have to say about the UAE markets. I don't know if you watched the previous session, but let me give you the same background as I gave for the first session. So it's just to maybe introduce kind of context of our discussion. As you know, recently the International Energy Agency, they published their 1.5 degree scenario, where now from now on, 90% of all the power plants that will be connected worldwide would be renewable. And oil and gas also, exploration should basically stop. We have enough oil and gas now to fill our tanks for the next couple of decades. And that's the situation. So obviously for a country like the UAE, it's probably a big change. And maybe we can see more and more, either regulatory framework changing or, new industrial strategies and so on. So I'd like to hear from you. So maybe we can start, just, by a short introduction. Maybe you can introduce each other and then, speak freely about how you see the market in the UAE and how you see the future of this market in the, I would say not 2050, it's a very long time, right? But in the coming months and years, that 2 to 3 years, that would be already very interesting. So maybe I'll start, Claire. So maybe I'll start with the lady first. So tell us, just a short introduction and how you see the market in the UAE.
Okay, thank you, Kareem. So I'm Claire, and I'm the Business Development Director of the Middle East in LONGI Solar. So I've been in this region for around 5 years and previously based in Saudi Arabia. And recently I moved to Dubai since our Middle East and Africa office just established in Dubai last year. So Middle East and Africa region is actually having a great potential in the solar PV energy development. And LONGI, we look forward to having more active participation and exposure in this region. And as you are mentioning about the market overlook of UAE, I think UAE is having a great potential also, but we can see that there is some delays because of the pandemic and also because of the price in this market, the price fluctuation, and also the shipping is also one of the other issues that's making the project at this moment that is difficult for the execution. But in general, we still are very positive with the UAE market. Yeah.
Thank you. Very interesting. I think we'll come back to this price and shipping issue. Thank you, Claire. So, Antonio.
Good afternoon, Karen. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. It's a pleasure for me to be one of the speakers around the table to discuss about this interesting topic we are about to talk about. So my name is Antonio Valentin. I'm the head of project delivery in Middle East within the EDF Renewable Organization. So I would like to give you also a brief introduction about our company and our role in UAE market. So EDF Renewable has a presence in region for more than 20 years. The group has offices in UAE, in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, Saudi Arabia and Riyadh, Bahrain, and also in Qatar in Doha. So we are about 200 employees. One of the EDF group's driving ambition is to triple our business outside Europe. Double our installed capacity in renewable from 2015 to 2030. So for EDF, Middle East is playing a strategic role in this strategy. So we know that the Middle East, Eastern countries have set ambitious goals in terms of reducing the carbon footprint and developing low carbon energy solutions. So Middle East is a strategy region for EDF renewable because I mean we call a recent event. So we adopted this philosophy mentality within the company in 2020. So we are fully committed to support the economies with a wide range of low carbon solutions. Okay, so answering your questions, to me, I'm quite optimistic and positive about the project in UAE. As Claire said before, we are facing some issues mainly because of the pandemic situation. Also, the polysilicon price and trackers price. So it's impacting in, let's say, in the execution of the project and also in the financial models. So we are now in a situation to work along with the off-takers and the EPC contractor to, let's say, to improve the execution of the projects.
Thanks, Antonio. Thank you very much. Very interesting. We'll get back to actually this the challenges to implement actually the projects here in the UAE, and maybe how you see the regulatory framework evolve, in particular regarding the PPA and so on. That would be interesting. Felice, or you say Felice? Sorry.
Felice is fine.
Yeah, Felice, voilà.
Means happy in my country, so it's it's a wonderful name. No, it means, and I want to bring happiness. No,
good.
Since I was born. First of all, I want to thank you, Solar Quarter and LONGI, to ask me to participate to this roundtable. Tech Solar is let's say it's a construction company, part of T-Tech Group, that is a European construction company. I think we are in this roundtable because I don't want to be too much proud of ourselves, but we can be considered one of the most important construction company in the region. We have built almost half of the Al Maktoum Solar Park for every contractors. We have built more than 800 megawatt up to now, and we are still building it. We have built 100 megawatt in Oman, almost 200 megawatt in Jordan, almost 200 megawatt in Egypt. So the focus of our company is mainly in Middle East. I mean, in the mechanical installation. That is one of the, and I come immediately to your point, one of the main problems of the construction of solar plants in this region, because of the soil conditions, because of the different typology of soils and of structures. So we are here and we are ready to participate to this table. As I understood for the request that Solar Quarter did it to me, just to give our small contribution to the to understand how the changes in the size of the panels are improving the costs of the market, and how and where can be the let's say the future targets for this market in this country and the region. So we are here ready to participate, and again thank you to all of you. I wanted also to thank you because companies are made of quality of their job, of their process, the quality of the product that they sell, but also are made of people. And in LONGI, I want to really thank one guy that I think is the key of one of the key of the success of LONGI in Middle East. That is Gonzalo Bonello. That is a very very, very aggressive and good guy that we appreciate a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Felice. I think that's for this session. That's all. Or Sangeeta, we have 3 persons.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you. So Claire, coming back to what you said during the introduction, I mean, it's very interesting to see. Obviously in the UAE, in the MENA region, you have also very large projects. You have CNI projects where you need to have delivery implementation of, I would say, smaller size, but you do have also the challenges to provide modules to larger projects. So in your case, you said that pricing has changed or has evolved, because I heard also that there was some kind of increase prices. So if you can tell us more about the origin of that and how it's going to be solved and how do you see the evolution. And also you mentioned the shipping, which I think it's very interesting. Tell us more about what happened, how it's going to be solved, and more generally the challenges or that you see at LONGI to I would say follow the dynamic of the market in the UAE and how you position yourself.
Okay, thank you, Karim. So coming back to the question that you asked, and you mentioned that LONGI, we do have the possibility and we do have the capacity to supply for CNI project, residential project. Of course, for the utility scale project, actually, as we mentioned in the very beginning of this session, we have this video and it shows that we have a Qatar project there, which is 800 megawatt. And then because by the the start of 2020 and the end of 2020 and the start of 2021, actually, we've been facing this problem of the polysilicon. So the increase of the polysilicon, which is the raw material for the wafers and modules. So for LONGI for example, we try to secure the long-term agreements from the downstream suppliers for the polysilicons, which is now actually captured around 80% of the production capacity from these leading polysilicon suppliers. And then these transactions actually is going to take place in this year, 2021, because usually for the polysilicon, it takes more than 12 months for it to be delivered to the downstreams, which is us. And you know that the deal we had with one of the major supplier for the polysilicon, which is Tongwei, and us, is expected to exceed 100,000 tons in quantity, in quantity for 2021 and 2022. So this is one of the solutions we have to try to stabilize the price of the module. And then also, as I mentioned, that we've been working with different shipping companies, and we are partnering with them, trying to have a long-term agreement with them to secure a better price for this shipping, because the shipping is going really crazy lately. And this is also one of the another problem for, I think it's for the delivery of the project, for the execution of the project here in the Middle East and also in UAE. Yeah.
But in terms of polysilicon, do you also foresee yourself as going into polysilicon production? I mean, do you want to integrate every step of the chain or not yet? And also, the polysilicon itself, how do you see the dynamic of the investment? I mean, do you see a lot of investment coming in this area? Because obviously we can see that the implementation of solar projects should almost double or triple actually in the coming years worldwide. And I guess I don't know the numbers in China, but even in China the increase will be massive. So do you see these investments happening?
See, we position ourselves with this whole supply chain, with the whole industry chain, covering the whole industry. And then we're starting from the ingots, okay? Ingots and wafer cells and modules. And currently the company's strategy is that we focus on the wafer and the module production don't see ourselves, going into the polysilicon industry, because it's already actually like there are a lot of factories like back in China is having this production ready by next year, early next year. Yeah, so we will see some demand there later this year, but we have to wait until that is ready, to supply.
Okay, thank you, Claire. So Antonio, obviously, I'm French also, and we're very happy to see EDF renewable energy in this in the last tender actually in the UAE. This is a massive project, obviously. How do you manage 2 gigawatts? Tell us how you manage to build the largest plant in the world, and what are the challenges?
I'm sorry to interrupt in between. We also have Mr. Karel D. Winter, who is
okay.
from High Energy. He's also joined us. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Okay, so I'll, Antonio, you can continue. Then I'll introduce.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So shall I continue, Karim?
Yeah. Sorry, please continue.
So you're right. I mean, we are now EDF is one of the developers of the largest PV project in the world. It's currently under execution from January 2021, and where we achieved the financial close. As you will understand, the execution of this kind of project is not easy. So we are facing. We are still under the engineering execution, but we are facing some issues, especially with the COVID situation around the world. A lot of we are starting the mobilization of the contractors on site. So many of workers are coming from countries which have been affected by the COVID situation. This fact plus the let's say safety requirements in UAE, especially in Abu Dhabi, in terms of quarantines, so are facts that are affecting the project execution. Of course, we are working along with the EPC contractor and with the subcontractors on a mitigation plan and to recover whatever unexpected issues arise. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Also, talking again about the modus price fluctuation, especially the polysilicon material. I mean, it's impacting in the procurement of the PV modules, which of course is impacting in the trackers and inverter selection. To conclude on the PV plant design, to try to reduce the BOS costs and the final LCOE. So, yeah, I mean, the polysilicon, let's say, the raw material for modules is impacting. Checking the latest prices are still increasing. So it's affecting the project. We are really in touch with the EPC contractor to make sure they are testing the market and to secure the delivery agreements with the suppliers as soon as possible. Mainly, those are the main issue we are facing in the project execution that we are having now in UAE.
When are you supposed to start the construction? I mean, because you're basically so yeah. Let me rephrase that. So, how long is the construction of 2 gigawatts, and what is the kind of cycle that you imagine? Because maybe you will dynamically negotiate the modules, or you want to have an upfront contract. How you manage that?
Actually, I mean the project schedule is too tight. So we have to work very hard to comply with the EPC contract or with the EPC contract with the PPA. So yeah, I mean we are really in touch with the EPC contractor to close all the not only the modules, the key supplies. Talking about modules, inverters, trackers, HV transformers, and of course the electrical substation is another, let's say, bottleneck of the project, because we have to comply with all the transport requirements in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, it's a tight schedule. It's a hard project, but we are confident to reach our commercial operation date on time. Also, we have lead generation within the project, and we are fully confident that we see the contractor fully committed to reach the COD on time. Yeah.
And how many months? Sorry, how many months the construction?
I mean, we are starting from the limited notice to proceed, where the EPC contractor started doing the let's say the technical, your physical studies. We are talking about 22 months. It's quite tight for 2 gigawatts. Well, but now we are on the market to make this happen. So
it was not, you know, I was just wondering to have an idea of this 2 gigawatts, how long. That's all. Okay, thanks.
But it's achievable.
Okay.
Sure.
I think Karel left again. So Felice, tell us. So Felice, it seems that you know, whenever Antonio was mentioning about the challenges, he mentioned the EPC, right? So it's kind of so it's kind of negotiation happening. So you know, tell us more about the challenging. And also, I have one question, which is that you see the LCOE is decreasing because obviously module prices are decreasing. Now you do have some fluctuations, but I would say the general trend is that. But the balance of plant and overall optimization, it's you know, it's obviously a huge part, and it's getting more and more important. Tell us more about that. Also, how you optimize overall the plant to reach the LCOE, lowest LCOE.
So before going to your question, I believe Antonio's challenge is even more difficult, because the project there is very challenging. I mean, also from the construction point of view, we are a company that we support the EPC to achieve their goals, because we do the construction, and we usually in this region, in Europe we act as an EPC, but in this region we work mainly as a subcontractor of big EPC contractors. So I was saying the challenge of Antonio is even much more difficult because of the soil conditions. In that case, they have to drill almost 300,000 holes in 7, 8 months, 9 months to achieve their goal. So it will be needed a great fleet of machines, and maybe there aren't enough machineries in all UAE of that size that can do that job. So the challenge of the EPC mainly now is to find the right way to achieve this goal on time, using the best workforce that they have already in the country. Anyway, and I come back to your question. So we are not scared about the decreasing of the prices. I mean, we know that the market in this region is changing. It's changing from the structural changing of the nature of the EPCs that are achieving. The size of the plants has always been huge with respect to Europe, for example. So every time we have been in touch with any customer of us was a big customer at the beginning from Europe. Now all the customers and all the big EPCs for a period have been from India, and now mainly are Chinese EPCs. And of course the prices are going down, but as well the technology is going ahead, and the size of the panels the efficiency of the materials is giving us the chance to reduce the timing of the installation per watt peak. So even decreasing the prices a good and organized company is not scared about this. The only goal that we have in mind now, for every plant that we are tendering for a lot of plants in Saudi Arabia. We are still working in Dubai. I don't want to talk about Antonio's plant. We are tendering for Oman. Our goal now is to find the best accomplishment between price and goals, because solar plants are not difficult for our point of view, for the construction point of view. They have two difficulties: soil conditions, and so piling and mechanical installations, and the substations. Of course, if you secure all the materials, and this is the point of the investor in this moment, to secure the materials and to have it on time. But if you have this and you have the strongest and the capabilities, then is to achieve the goal, accomplishing with the prices, and it's a question of organization.
And do you see, in terms of technology, you're talking about the size of the module, which is increasing, and obviously reducing time and balance of plant. Also, what about bifacials? I mean, do you see now it's like the usual technology that you see, and what about the soil, by the way, for this? Do you have some special preparation? No,
we have used the bifacial since phase B in Dubai, since phase B in Dubai, and we didn't have any kind of problems installing this kind of technology. What I was meaning is the increase of the size of the panels. I mean the size peak, so the watt power of the panels, because we are doing exercise now to understand what will be the target price for next year for installation with panels of 650, 660 watt. And believe me, from our point of view, we are in front of a new step, big step in terms of reduction of the prices. That is good to achieve the goal that you were discussing before in the other roundtable, to achieve the goal of the reducing carbon emission and to increase renewables. So I think that if all the chain is going ahead with the goal of reduce the price, this will increase the volumes of everyone. But of course, the goal will be to achieve the final date, because at the end, since I am in this market, and it's almost 12 years that we are building solar, at the end, the most important difficulties of the solar is to achieve the final date of the commissioning of the plant, and to release the plant to the investors. That's it.
Okay, thank you. I get back to, get back to the market actually, and how you see the future. It's very interesting. And so Claire, when I look at the structure, and correct me if I'm wrong, when I look at the structure of the deal in Qatar, basically it's Total, right, which was the sponsor. But what you see in Saudi and in the UAE, it's more and more joint ventures between module suppliers or even EPC, depends, and the key investor, right? You see that a lot. LONGI, you want to do that also? That's the kind of partnership that you're looking for. What's the good part or bad part to do that? Is it interesting or not?
See, from LONGI, we are always open for any partnership opportunities. So, but these will take some time for the evaluation, because we are a listed company, and we have to be responsible for what we are going to be engaged in, like in a new, let's say in the project development with the, or in the partnership with the developers or with the EPCs like that. So this is something new that we can explore, and we are very open for that.
And regarding the technology, so Felice said that basically efficiency will increase. Bifacial now it's like the norm. Can you tell us more about the coming evolution in the modules? So what you see are the main features that will be improved in the coming years, maybe 2-3 years, or even longer if you have some interesting information about that?
See, as I mentioned, and as my colleague also mentioned, that N-type is a new one that we are going to launch, and then we are going to focus much on this N-type production, as the efficiency is 25.09% at the moment, and then we were going to have mass production on this product very soon, and then we have the Chinese snack show there in 2-3 days. So I think this is a good momentum for us. And also, you see, for this region, as Mr. Felix, he mentioned that in this region, we have this problem, which is the harsh climate, harsh environment, right? So what you're looking for is actually the reliability and performance of the modules rather than the technology, because most of the module suppliers, they actually provide the similar technology. And us, LONGI, actually is, we have been chosen as the top performer for all these, product quality program, and we're the top performer for the PV PV module reliability. So, in general, that for us, we are talking about the utility scale project in this region. I would have to stress again that the reliability and performance is something that you should always consider as one of the most important factors. And also, of course, the financial health and also the bankability of the company, of the module supplier. This is also important, for you have to consider. Yeah.
Reliability means the thickness of the glass, for example. What kind of components actually make a module reliable?
Well, that is a bit, from the technical side. I think maybe we can do one more session, from the technical side, and we would.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do that.
I'm so very interested, and I'm so glad to hear about that. We can do one more webinar on that, on the technical side. Good.
Excellent. So, Antonio. So, regarding the technology, what makes you? How do you see further improvement actually in LCOE? I know your head is full already in the implementation of the existing 2 gigawatt, but going in, looking at the future also, we're just wondering, you reach an incredible LCOE and the whole world is watching that. It's like a message sent to everyone, like, look, solar now has reached this price, and this is where it's going, right? Now, but every year there will be a tender almost. And I don't know how you see the market, but first of all, if you can tell us also a little bit how you see this market, like, for example, next year, the year after, will it be 1 gigawatt, 800, 2 gigawatt? Do you see this increasing or stabilizing? And how do you see, and do you see the sector having some rooms for improvement?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I agree with Claire with the N-type statement. So even as you all said, I am involved during the execution of the project, but somehow I'm also involved during the bidding stage and engineering stage of the project. So just to give you an example, I mean, we are going to use P-type and N-type technology in our project in Abu Dhabi. This is one of the requirements within the PPA signed with the off-taker. So I see in the coming projects, that we expect to submit our bid for Red Round 3 and Manaf project in Oman. So I expect to engage and to use more N-type technology for the project instead of P-type. The issue is, I mean, or the issue that I see always when you are signing a PPA is to comply with, let's say, quality and track record requirements included in the PPA, because always the off-taker is asking you for to provide them with let's say, proof technology in other project with at least 50 megawatts capacity under operation 1 year. So we know how is the PV modules market evolving. So it's quite difficult to achieve that, because I mean the PV modules manufacturers are launched new models, as LONGI just done. So we are, let's say, in touch. We are having also conversation with the off-taker just to reach an agreement and to see how we can comply with these requirements. Of course, also not only in terms of track record, but also in terms of module quality, we at EDF have quite a strong procedure to check the quality of the modules during manufacturing process and during the after delivery and after installation. Okay? So we include these kinds of procedures, standards in our EPC contract, just to make sure that the quality of the modules are complying with the PPA standard and also the EDF internal policies. So just to give you, let's say, an example, we are requiring always we're required to get a POE encapsulate material, especially for these harsh conditions. So this requirement came from our technical team in Paris. So we also have a strong technical team in Paris. So we are again, we are trying to include all our quality and track record standard in the EPC contract.
And do you have a performance guarantee, performance ratio guarantee in the?
I mean, it's only you have the liability period where the EPC contractor has to comply with the PR of the plant. After the liability period, let's say the EPC contractor will leave the plant, so we'll be fully responsible to operate and maintain the plant. So we have to comply with the PR included in the PPA for 25 or 30 years. Of course, yeah, that's quite important. So it's important for us also the performance of the module and the degradation.
Very interesting. Okay, thanks, Antonio. And now, so Felice, looking at the market ahead, you see, when I look at the 2050 energy strategy of the UAE, you can see that it was, designed. The models were run in 2017, right? And this was the process which was done, for a few years. And now it's going to be updated soon. And frankly, I would be extremely surprised that with a price of, 1.1 or 1.3 or whatever cents dollar per kilowatt hour, you would still target, the UAE would still target only, I think, 44 or something like that % of solar in 2050. Actually, at this price, there is absolutely no reason to burn gas to produce electricity. There is zero reason to do that. And so, honestly, this 44%, I would not be surprised if this target would be 2030, honestly. But, and therefore, it means that it's a completely redesign, right, of the tender process and the capacities and so on. So are we at that stage or not yet?
Honestly, as Ivano was saying before, I think that, of course, an energy strategy, I am not the one that can, let's say, can define a strategy for a country. I don't want to be, but of course, solar energy is not so stable. I mean, it doesn't produce anything during nighttime. At the moment, the batteries are not so efficient as should be expected. But we believe that the growth and the continuous changes in the technology will give all our market the chance to build more than actually that currently is planned from the government authorities. So we still think that UAE will be a great market for the future and for the future years. So we are still investing in this country. From our perspective, we are investing in manpower, hiring the best that we can in machineries, and for this point of view, we are really thinking to have a long-term strategy on UAE and in general on all the Middle East.
Sorry.
Yeah,
thank you. If I remember well, the first plant actually in the UAE was with First Solar, right? And I remember we were all, and even also, if I remember well, EDF, also renewable energy, you know, years back, we were all into cadmium telluride and, you know, having a better performance ratio and so on. And at the end of the day, you also have this issue of the glass module, right, which were a bit tricky to install. And do you see this technology coming back a bit in the MENA region because of you know, whatever performance ratio or whatever, or it's all crystalline now?
My personal opinion, I would say yes. Glass to glass model technology, I think, are still in the market, and I mean, we still have the chance to install them in the coming project. So, but I mean, it's to me, it's just a matter to make our, let's say, internal assessment to see the PR is achievable. You know, it's to conclude on the design. There are a lot of works and figures behind, and you have to do your financial model, your assessment, you know, it's difficult, but I mean, I'm still positive in that.
But so you mean that you're still studying different technologies to see what could be the best LCOE and still,
yeah.
You know, CDT.
We always study. Yeah, we always technology.
Yeah,
we are in touch with suppliers. Again, we have our internal, let's say, team in Paris. We engage our technical advisors to do assessment. To you know, you have to, as when you are a sponsor, you have to evaluate all the options.
And today, I understand that bifacial modules, they're getting, you know, kind of the norm, right? That you have in all projects, because the difference in prices, it's not that much, but I would say the yield is much higher. But at the same time, I'm not sure about how you evaluate the increase in the yield, especially if you have to provide a PR guarantee. Is it something that now the sector is more familiar with? Are we comfortable now to give PR guarantee using bifacial?
Yeah, I mean, this question maybe could be for the design team and the business development team, but of course, I mean, we are now we are using bifacial models for the project in UAE. Also, there are other projects within the region using the bifacial model. So, I mean, of course, there is a technical and financial issue to use them. Yeah. So I'm quite confident with the PR and the yield assessment and the PVC report and the model done by the technical teams. So if they select and they are open to install bifacial models, yeah, because they are reliable, and of course you are able to achieve the PR during the life of the project.
Okay. So maybe Sangeeta, what's the time now?
4 minutes more to go, sir.
Sorry?
4 minutes more to go.
Okay. So maybe Claire, just to conclude about the market here. I mean, we discussed about, the challenges in terms of EPC, supply of quantity of modules and so on, especially in the COVID situation. But, just maybe if you can conclude about, how you see the coming months actually for LONGI in the UAE or in the MENA region, and, what would be the positive trend that you will see here?
So from LONGI side, for the project here in the MENA region and also in UAE, we're trying to work with our partners, trying to find the best solution for this situation with all this price fluctuation and then with the shipping thing. So, but also, we have seen that, we're trying to be more engaged, like in the very beginning of the project, like in the building stage. And since we have technical team, to do all this support, our technical is with years of experience for the project development. So we can provide professional advice for that. So in this case, we just hope that we can work like closely with our partners, with the developers, with the EPCs, with the IPPs, to give them a better solution. Let's find out a good solution for this situation, and let's try to make the project be executed, based on the timeline.
Thanks. Yeah. Hopefully, if hopefully Total was not also with us. If not, I can imagine the negotiation going on already regarding the situation. Good. Thank you, Claire. And so Antonio, tell us. So maybe just to conclude, we're sure you're going to reach COD on time for sure. Very confident. That's for sure. But yeah, tell us, what's your expectations actually in the coming, months, years in the region?
Well, talking about the UAE region, we are 100% involved in the project in Abu Dhabi. Again, it's going to be a tough project, achievable. Issues arise, but all of them, let's say, were assessed before the project execution. One of the, let's say, key tasks that you have to do before project execution is to make a risk assessment, let's say, evaluation. So all the risk that we are facing during the project execution were discussed before. All of them have been evaluated. We, let's say, have a mitigation plan for each one. So again, it's going to be a tough project. We are fully confident the EPC contractor will get success. The EPC contractor success is the developer success. So yeah, yes. Let's make it. That's all. I mean, there is nothing new in a PV project. It's just a matter to align all the parties and work together.
Thank you, Antonio. Felice, by the way, are you also one of the subcontractors or contractors in this project with the EDF? Or?
We are tendering, let's say. No, we are tendering for the EPC.
Because I thought that there was some kind of messages, right, between you.
No.
That's why.
I don't. Let's say we are here. Our company is, let's say, has a good name on the market. We have the machines. Yes. We have our strategy on the market. Of course, then also every EPC has to do their own strategies. We have placed our price, and in the upcoming weeks we are trying to achieve it. But we are trying to be present in all regions. As I was listening also the other roundtable. So here in Middle East, in this region, leaders have been much more faster rather than European leaders, for example, or rather than US leaders, because we had a big stop in renewables also in the United States. But in MENA region, especially in UAE, all the leaders, Mohammed bin the Sheikh of Dubai and the Sheikh of Abu Dhabi, they have started in advance, And also now all the region is finding very big convenience on this. So because of their decisions, we all the industry of the solar market and all the renewables in general is growing behind their decision, and is growing faster rather than in other parts of Europe. I cannot say in Spain, but in other parts of Europe, or is growing faster rather than parts of America or Asia. So I, as a CEO of Tech Solar, and we bet a lot on this market, and we are investing a lot to continue our presence in Middle East and in UAE. So I hope to see Antonio soon.
Sure. And not only in UAE project, you know that we are also involved in other projects in the region, in Jeddah, in Saudi. So we are expected to be awarded with the coming project. So yeah, we're in touch, Feliz.
Okay.
Great. We actually we have the whole consortium here, right? Module supplier, EPC, and sponsor. So it's interesting. Okay. So thank you very much, Sangeeta. So it's yours.
Thank you very much, all of our esteemed panelists, for such an insightful discussion and sparing your precious time and extending your support for this event. I would like to thank each one of you who have joined us today. So with this positive note, we are ending today's event and promise you to come back soon with more knowledge-driven virtual events. Till then, it's bye from our end. And please do take care of yourself and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karim, Sangeeta.
Yeah, ciao. Bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.